Perfect. So you want to I'm just want to answer those questions. Perfect.
1, 2. I've done that one. Right?
3, 4.
It's on.
5,
1, 2,
6.
pick up sticks.
You gonna show your butt off again?
I might. It is a body image show.
Woohoo! I guess we're live.
Welcome to Happy Hour. There's live right across my head. There we go. It's Friday.
It is.
Today we are
Fun,
talking
Friday.
about body image. Well,
I can see it now.
as I'm leaning up, the live with StreamYard
Woo!
is over my face, which I guess a lot of people I know.
They're not going to notice.
Some girl over here in the corner is saying, "Yay, his face is covered! Finally!"
Are you getting cheeky on yourself?
I'm not getting cheeky on myself. So today, Dr. Mike had a brain image done, which I guess is part of your body.
It is. Last time I checked.
And the fun part, you want to tell them the fun part, or you want to tell them the fun part?
I'm not sure what the fun part is. I'm guessing it's the upper trap part. So
That's-
go ahead and you talk.
The upper trap part. So on a brain scan, he was having some difficulties passing the test.
Only 2 parts of like the 30, but yeah, so a 15th of my brain wasn't lining up, I guess.
So what is that called, Shantae, when there's interference?
Hold on.
You said muscular interference.
No,
earlier.
that's not it. That's not it.
Well,
Artifact.
there
Thank
we go.
you.
That's the
Yeah.
one.
Boom, that is it.
Okay. Okay.
I'm trying to give him a pound. Who's
No,
not even
'cause-
looking for it.
Well, no, because see, up here,
T-Rex.
you're over here, and I got a
Ah.
So he had an artifact in his
little
brain,
muscle artifact, yeah.
and it wasn't going away, and the scan was going to be a wash,
Yeah,
almost.
Yeah, they pretty much said that we might have to redo it if it doesn't fix itself.
Exactly. And
I
the
did
problem
wanna
with
read
that is we already had a washout the other day, and it was a pain in the butt to get up there again today. It's an hour and 40 minutes away, so I did not want that to happen. So as many times as I kept saying, "You want me to get that out? You want me to get that out?" to the resident genius over there, they kept saying okay, but they didn't say go ahead. Until finally it was, I'm going to leave the room now.
Until
Maybe
Jim
when you
came
going to
over
try
here.
it.
Yeah. Thank God.
8 times later, we got it. And the little deep capsular ligament stretching.
Yep.
And it was amazing. The artifact was gone.
It was cool. A little stretching and a little bit of was a mix of PIR and pin and stretch or ART if people want more acronyms. And it was only incredibly painful for about 15 seconds, but it worked. The artifact disappeared. We could actually do the brain scan.
You're welcome, world. You're welcome.
Chiropractic works. Who knew?
But I'm just stretching. Deep capsular ligament stretching.
I was
That's all
almost
I did.
close
That's
to the
great.
eye.
It's what you did on my neck the other day. All the fun Graston work.
And it left a lot of marks and bruises. And I don't know if you are embarrassed or shameful of these marks in your bodies now, but I don't know, maybe you should be. But that was my weak segue into let's talk about
I'm gonna
body
wear it
image,
with pride.
as you have it covered up completely.
It's fun for the most part.
It's like we've been necking and bruised you up.
It's a rough session.
That's how I roll. So body images problems. It's not necessarily healthy, but we all have them in some way.
Yeah, so we're talking about body image. Let's do a few quick definitions. Body image is simply how you feel about the way you look and also how you feel about the way you feel others feel about the way you look.
Like these awesome hoodies, available only at Functionised. Become a team member, get one because you're one of us.
I feel like they look awesome on all of us.
I feel the same.
I like recycle them.
Keep going, you're on something.
And then we talked about hoodies. I made definitions. What's next?
You did definition. So
So
what is a healthy image? So health is the lack of disease. So an image without disease. So no
we
syphilis.
can play with that one. Play with the syphilis a little bit, but this is more of a mental thing than a physical thing. So it's just accepting and being okay with your body image. But I will add a little. That was the Google definition. I thought Dr. Google that one.
Oh, then it
And
must be right.
I'm still going to tweet.
Huzzah!
I think it's also as long as it is a healthy body image, meaning like people that have heart disease, diabetes, 300 pounds overweight, they can feel good about themselves. I'm not sure it's best if they're not trying to make themselves better. I do think there's a physical health component put into it, So that's my little addition on what Dr. Google said.
That is very true.
And if you don't remember what to do about Dr. Google,
Ignore
watch us
him.
from last
Don't
week,
Google and ask
because
it.
we talked about that for a little bit.
Yeah, well, you were
anorexia.
screaming.
Ask your competent doctors. Yes.
So let's go with history.
Sure.
All right, we're going to talk about a history of anorexia and body image. So high school wrestling, obese.
Oh, so this goes into a little bit. So for those who didn't know, I have a history of a couple of these things, and if anyone else in the room wants to chip in, feel free.
Which has
But-
nothing to do with that experiment that we did a couple years ago.
No, it does not. The experiment you're talking about, I'm pretty sure, is the when I lost 27 pounds in 4 days.
3 days.
That's
3 days?
When we started on 4, but then we really hit home.
So, lost a crap ton of weight that had nothing to do with this background. But I mean, I had a history myself of anorexia. It came off mostly during high school from assume wrestling. In hindsight, that's what I'm getting by. And it's giving me an interesting look and perception on this because when we think of eating disorders and everything, we typically think of females. Males get it too, just far less, and we tend to keep it quieter. It's less expected, and that's actually how I was able to get away with it. Is I was just wrestling all year round, so it was no big deal that I never ate or I worked all the time. So when I was gone all day and I was asked, did I eat? The answer was, of course. So it gives me an interesting perspective on this. I have my own ways to help get out of it, so to speak. I'll talk more in detail in a few minutes about how I don't really think most people get out of it, though statistically, apparently people do. And then I just go with body dysmorphia, which is the most common one with guys and in people in general. And I appreciate you guys both doing the show.
Yep.
Wow.
That was not planned.
So it was well and cute.
It was.
Appreciated it. This next, I guess, talking a little bit on what those are, because most people might not know what dysmorphia is.
Body dysmorphia is being a bodybuilder. Constantly
Very
having
correlated.
difficulties with the way they look, always trying to be better, never being fully satisfied.
Yeah.
That's the bigger
Satisfied.
component of it. And we think of like weight and everything, but I mean, it can fit into things like
It's
your butt's-
proportion,
there you
it's
go.
size.
That was
it's,
better phrase.
Yeah.
My butt too big. My butt's not big enough.
Boobs are awkward. I mean, there's always something for people to get.
Left is bigger than the right, right's
It's
bigger
an
than the left.
obsessive viewpoint on what the body looks like. It's never ever going to be picture perfect.
And this is one of the few eating disorders or social disorders, how we want to classify this one, that's most likely in people that are athletes and fitness. More becomes a lot more. We have anorexia and bulimia. They go a little bit more into the sedentary population as well, though all these disorders are more common with athletic individuals. Most likely due to that strive, more of a type A personality, more type of, I'm just going to do what the hell I need to do well. And that's
It's a performance.
most likely why
yeah,
it's more of with athletic individuals.
performance.
And you think I have orthorexia?
I do. Orthorexia.
Ooh,
So we-
that's anorexia.
Well, Jim has, I'll ask you after I say this if I get permission to talk about this. So Jim's mentioned before that he thinks he gave himself an eating disorder from all the research that he
okay.
did. And
From not eating Twinkies.
from not
From overeating Twinkies to not eating Twinkies at all.
He has he's got a
Orthorexia.
complex. He's got a complex.
Orthorexia.
It's not one cookie. He has to eat all the cookies.
Oh, this is a different one. Okay.
No, it's the same thing. So then I got rid of all those cookies and replaced it with healthy foods only.
So we'll play with
And
that one.
it's
So
because
now
all
I-
the hummus, and it's all the crackers.
Every night.
You do definitely have some binging qualities. Okay.
But it's
it's
healthy binging,
And that's what orthorexia
and
comes
it's
in.
not sugar.
True.
not sugar.
And we all justify whatever the hell we want. But orthorexia, since I said it 7 times, is
What is
people-
it?
I'm trying to get there and keep it around.
Absence of eating rat poison.
What? It's not that.
It's probably characteristic. With people who are getting obsessed with healthy eating, where you pretty much just drive yourself nuts trying to eat healthy, and it's not usually people focusing on trying to lose weight. Usually it's all about the most healthy thing I can do, and sometimes it seems slightly obsessive.
Like,
I'm not obsessive, I just eat well.
okay.
So these are the people you're gonna find a lot more that you hear a little fad, they start digging into it, see if it's true, and the well, some people, this is not even the case. They just try it anyway without research. You do all your research on it. Then if you find it's good, you obsess the crap out of it. That's
Human
orthorexia.
experimentation.
I find out it's good one way or another. I'm getting the itchies. I guess it wasn't very good. I mean,
Oh yeah, when I took the 8 grams of beta alanine, I had that experience.
oh my goodness, it's just like GABA. That's an amazing
Oh, yeah.
experience. The tingles.
Mike, what are you doing? Something dumb.
It's like when I took the Dream Chaser 6 scoops the other night.
Yeah, I can't believe that.
Got the tingles at the yin yang.
I
I
get
mean,
itchy toes.
Where's your yin yang?
everywhere. Why don't you two talk? Go ahead. It's
I thought
okay.
I was. The laughter ended with me interrupting you.
No, she's still laughing.
And our live audience members are laughing as well.
I think
And then they silently start. Okay, perfect.
they're here. I promise. They're real. They're not figments of our imagination, although we could be delirious. I don't know.
We were up early today.
Up early, too fasting. It's good.
Oh yeah.
I realized instead of slowing down, going through speed traps, you speed up, then they can't catch you.
Yay!
Let's go to anorexia.
So good at staying on focus.
I've got Jorge's card. We're good. I've got till the end of the year when it expires. I gotta use
He's gonna
it.
use it. He's gonna use it. George, you better get
No
another
matter how many
ready.
times you say the expiration doesn't mean anything, it says expiration on there. I don't need to give 7 or 8 cards. One should be good. Just give me one for the
You just
year.
make copies of it.
It's a good idea.
Editing's simple to do. Change the date. Just saying, not recommended by me. So just quickly, as I define story, mentioned a couple times. Most people are familiar with anorexia and bulimia. We can go on about a bunch of other eating disorders, but I didn't really want to. Just simply to classify them is dysmorphia is mostly this is kind of everybody. Guys more frequently that than anorexia or bulimia. I'm just going to tie this into, I think, sports is next. If not, let's tie it into sports anyway, because this is where you find most people with eating disorders, and you find patterns.
Let's go back to that for a second.
I am jumping around. Perfect.
I mean, statistically speaking, and I'm not going to get too deep into this, because I like this audience right now, and I want everyone here to stick around. But 1% of the population has anorexia in their lifetime. 1%.
1%, one of every 100.
That's a bigger percent than certain other things that are going on right now. Just saying. And then those that do have it,
No.
those that do have it, have a 1 in 5 incident of dying from it. So that's
And we're talking
20%.
anorexia. Yes.
So 20% of that 1% dies from anorexia.
The complications usually something organ failure related.
That is a
Significant.
bigger
pretty significant.
significant. I mean, especially those that have it. I mean, it's a good chance of dying.
Yeah, I mean 20% is that's pretty high.
Clinically significant. I would probably devote more time and research into that and focus into that than most other things going on right now.
And I'll work on an anorexia vaccine. This will help us up a little bit.
And half have a comorbidity or anxiety and social
Yeah, pretty
disorder.
much me.
Even tougher, which could lead to I don't eat all day, but I drink at night.
Right. I mean, this is a big part of bulimia, binge eating, anorexia, any real eating disorder. You're going to notice stress and anxiety is highly correlated.
It's a big topic in sports psychology.
Mhm.
Big with athletes.
And while 60% of people do recover, it's 40% that are not recovering, and only 20% make a partial recovery on that
Yeah,
one.
this is where I have a hard time. I mean, it's statistics, which are flawless in theory.
There's no way to truly quantify this other than subjectivity of the individual.
Right. We'll hit the stats and we'll hit my opinion real quick in perspective, because I've seen a lot of eating disorders. And being in it maybe gives me a biased opinion, but screw it, I'll share it anyway. So the 60% saying that they recover from eating disorders, specifically anorexia, defined as they are no problems with eating, not afraid of eating, not afraid of their weight or everything throughout their life. I was shocked the number was that high. 20% is considered partially recovery. This is where I consider myself and where I thought, where everyone I've seen for the most part that were anorexic are too, where they keep, I'll call it tendencies. Like I'm never going to let myself go to speak. I mean, it still certainly motivates me. I feel I can't let my weight go so high. I care about these things a lot. I really thought that was a lot higher, but I will say the few people I've met that have, in my mind, completely recovered from anorexia, they let their health completely get away. So where they are now on the other end of the spectrum, but very unhealthy. And
Is that like an alcoholic turning to cigarettes, or turning to sugar, or just kind of switching around a little bit?
Still addictive properties.
I think maybe in that case it's changing in one vice for another. Where this one they go from not eating to eating everything. So I mean, it's still going to be causing we get the dopamine release of an addiction from it. So long-winded, we'll go short.
Wow, that took a long time for him to say, yep.
I had to agree with you. It took me a while to get
A
there.
couple guys were in the lab earlier, and they all said, hi, Jim, and I kept it short and sweet. Yeah.
Short, that's sweet.
Guys, sweet.
Guys, sweet.
We keep our feelings to each other. Hey, you wanted to talk about athletes more?
Yeah, why not? Because that's where we're going to find the highest population of it. A lot more stats and information on the collegiate athlete than the professional. My guess is HIPAA and stuff cares more on the professional standpoint where it's not easily shared information, though I don't know. But college comes out almost 50% of college athletes get an eating disorder. I think it was D1 was slightly higher, around 50%, and D3, they didn't have a stat for D2, 40%. Again, I'm guessing it seems, in my mind, go with competitive status, which makes sense. 33% of all females in athletics, any athletic, is going to get an eating disorder. Males is 33%, but only in specific sports, your aesthetic and weight sports. Wrestling, being a jockey, that thing we keep talking about, bodybuilding. That one.
I lift it up, I put it back down. I lift it back up, I put it back down.
And I'm going to go binge eat and be bulimic, which is actually the surprising note for me was football players. College and NFL was a very high rate of bulimia. About 40% of college and NFL athletes.
You ever seen one of those
binging and
spreads? I mean,
And
there's so
that's
much
what I
food
think
out
about.
there.
I was actually going to ask because I know you know this. Your professional athlete, they're considered. I mean, they're in great shape. They eat really well all the time, right, Jim?
No. I mean, if you saw what's in the locker room and how many pizzas get delivered, it's ridiculous. I mean, there are healthy options. There's also endless boxes of Twizzlers.
Yeah.
Pick a candy, it's there. I mean, anything that you could ever dream of or think of, it's there.
I forget what show it was. It might have been a YouTube follow. I don't know. But they had professional. It was all football players going into their homes and looking in their fridge and pantries. It was all tasty cakes, like everywhere. Tasty cakes and chips, and so it's not the most surprising that there's this binging and purging in football. It's just surprising.
Mm-hmm.
I also didn't realize, at least on the professional level, that most of them do get their weight checked weekly by their coaches, so they have to stay in a certain weight. This was new to me as a couple weeks ago. So again, having that weight factor on the mind would increase that as well. You want your O lineman and D lineman to weigh X amount. Okay, you're constantly focusing on it, more likely to, I don't know, eat all your Twinkies and then let it out behind you.
So this also gets to thin fat, fat, shaming.
Oh, okay.
There's a such thing as skinny fat, where
It is
somebody
skinny
may.
fat.
I see that.
Audience members are participating, agreeing.
I see that a lot in cyclists, yogis, anything that
Yoga is
has
a great example.
non-resistance.
Cross country, I think, it was always my prime example.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I think someone asked us to find skinny fat a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we talked about it a few times.
Good BMI, high body fat.
Yeah, good way of calling it. Again, I go with that cross country female. They weigh 105 pounds, but 40% body fat.
Right.
Skinny fat.
Skinny fat.
You should have a booty, not a belly.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. If you can poke in and you hit bone, that would be fat, even if you look skinny.
Yeah.
So yeah, skinny fat. It's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But this is leading into the fat shaming, thin shaming, or skinny, whatever you want to phrase it. I hadn't even heard of that phrase until, I don't know, like a year ago. I personally think social media has a lot to do with it, because people seem to attack a lot more when
Well, it's easier to
behind.
focus on other people than yourself.
That's very
Yes.
Because you're living now through social media
Yeah.
vicariously through others, as opposed to living your own life, because you got to be looking at others what they're doing instead of walking out the door on a beautiful day like today and actually having a life.
I had the most glorious walk today.
glorious.
Glorious
It was
walk.
glorious.
Wow, that's a
4:30
walk.
in the afternoon. I never can walk at 4:30 in the afternoon. It wasn't too hot. There was a beautiful breeze. It was glorious. Just saying. What? I found my joy.
I'm glad.
I'm so happy for you. Oh, are we still here?
It helps with my body image, I'm just
There we
saying.
go.
So fat shaming is big, pun intended, in children.
Yes, I mean, it's-
And that really comes down to the parents, I gotta say.
It
Kids
does.
don't know how to eat. Parents think it's okay to feed them whatever, and
Well, they just
they
don't
keep saying the
care.
kids are gonna eat this and that, but the parents are the ones going to grocery shop, and the kids can't even see what the steering wheel yet.
They're not ordering their own Grubhub, I'm just saying.
No, if it's in the house, I remember growing up, oh, I'm hungry, go grab something to eat.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm probably not going to, especially being like 12 years old, I wasn't going to go grab broccoli. Some people do. No, I have potato chips all freaking day.
Yeah, whatever's in there. I mean, same way. If I saw the
Parents bought it,
tasty
they must
cake
not
or
want to
the
eat it.
chips or pretzels, I'm going for it.
I mean, parenting, we'll dive in that in a second. I do want to hit real quickly on, the fat shaming is much more in, it's social media and kids. It's a big part of bullying. And then you see the thin shaming seems to be a lot more in the, we'll call it, I don't want to say grown-up population will do, like 20 plus. That concept, usually more against women than men, and everyone just presumes that someone who's really thin is anorexic, so they make comments about this one. Like, I've heard this happen a few times. Bones are for dogs, guys aren't gonna let you be that thin, or someone just yelled, go eat a burger. And that's common stuff. A lot of people won't bother them, some people it does.
Don't be rude.
Don't be rude, and then also, if someone yells at you, eat a burger, smile and eat a burger. Like, don't let it bother you. I mean, that's a certain amount of emotional control coming. 600, that, oh, God.
You had 600. You ate 600 burgers.
I did.
He's still here.
I'm alive. So
I can't wait to.
Slowly dying,
I can't wait to
yeah.
release your results. I'm gonna blog about that one. It's gonna be a good
Are
blog.
they all in?
Not all.
Not all of them.
Most of them though. I mean, his man levels are down.
Wah, wah.
His triglycerides are way up. His LDL is way up. HDL is down. I mean, the inverse of what should have happened.
Becoming increased anemic while only eating meat. That one is very interesting. We'll be diving a lot. into that.
Scandalous if you say it. I do say so myself.
Do you say so
I
yourself?
do say so, so it must be true.
Fancy.
Oh gosh, she's could pull it off. You're still from Pennsylvania.
Fancy.
I've been in Pennsylvania 3
So
times.
you don't want to go back again.
Oh, what? Why do they have that?
Pennsylvania?
Yeah,
I need somewhere to find cows.
it's such a big state, but it feels so cramped. I can't describe it. I got to
Just
New
good.
Jersey, it's like I could breathe again. Like, all right.
You don't like the smell of cow shit? Whoops.
Delayed beats going on here.
Earmuffs.
Remember on the way over, before lunchtime today, we talked about getting
Yeah.
air horns for these things. So every time you can curse, you just blast it out in the air.
Yeah, so we would way overdo it.
You wouldn't hear anything we said.
We wouldn't hear anything anymore either.
True. This is where we start shaming parents for kid behaviors.
Yeah, parents, you're not perfect. Somehow, I might not be perfect, so I heard. And
You listen to that?
as a parent, you try not to screw up as best as possible because there's no handbook.
It's all trial and error.
It is. By the third, you think you got it, and the third one throws you for a loop, and you realize, I have no idea what I'm doing here anymore. The first one, you please take care of the third one, I'm out.
Yeah.
Sound familiar? Was kids are watching what we do, consciously and subconsciously. So they pick up our habits like anything else.
Oh, yes, they do pick up the habits. Oh, yes, they do.
Like yelling beep instead of cursing. By anything appropriate to say that. So
They
it's
pick up the habits. They're going to eat what
healthy
you feed
habits
them.
and unhealthy.
Yeah.
So if they see that you're eating healthy habits, even not perfect, they'll pick up the healthy ones. And exercise habits, they do that. They'll also pick up the negative. I'll give my family example, as I was a little bit of an outlier on this one, is that I was the one that always focused on eating healthy and everything. Everyone else followed the other herd. And I'm glad I went that way for whatever reason. But again, kids are going to watch and they're going to listen. So this is a big deal of everyone that I've talked to, every female, I've talked to that I can think of that has some sort of eating disorder, has mentioned how they grew up hearing their parents, typically the mothers, say things about looking in the mirror like, oh, I'm looking really fat, or like, oh, I can't believe how disgusting I am. And they were always, none of these were big people at the time. And I saw your reaction to this. About one eye rolled 6 different directions. But this is a big deal because it affects kids. And don't realize it.
And there's also something that if you teach your children how to eat healthy, you are not teaching them to get an eating disorder. I'm just saying.
Oh,
No, very good.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, this sounds like a
That is a
personal
little
attack.
sore spot right there.
No, if you
Kids eat broccoli aren't gonna have body image issues. Let your kids eat broccoli.
if you yell at them to only eat broccoli because there's too much sugar and carrots, maybe
I
a
need-
little different. But no,
I'll take it for you.
healthy
Okay.
habits will not cause eating
They
disorders.
will not.
Proven.
Do you have an eating disorder? No.
No, she doesn't stop eating.
It's good.
And it just happens to be broccoli and watermelon
Salmon.
and salmon and
3 kids, 5 to 12 here, and they all love salmon. Must have done something right. Just saying.
so how do we deal with the first person and a third person?
So I was thinking of how to help with yourself versus try to help other people, and the short of it is it depends a little bit on which eating disorder we're talking about, but I don't want to get too like Hakuna Matata here and say get over it and deal with it. But I mean, like, focus on something to help you out that's not the problem. That was stupid sounding. So what I did for like I was
Could you
anorexic,
clarify, Dr. Mike?
if I don't get interrupted when I do so, yes. So
He just
the way
rambles on. I got interrupted at some point.
she can interrupt. No, I'm done. I quit.
Finally, thank goodness.
So now
Camera.
I'm now more motivated to talk. So an example of that's the way I got over anorexia was I was just so focused on what the scale said, and I never lifted weights until I got into college, and that was my way to kind of help cope with this. I started focusing on the weight of the dumbbells and not the weight on the scale. Like I just refused to look at it, and that was one of the big factors that helped me get out to it. So I was able to obsess over something else, and that helped me out a lot.
Mhm.
It's just good to focus.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it was. It wasn't easy. I mean, it's not just like, oh yeah, I just pay attention to something else. It was more involved than that, but that was the goal, and it's how I got out of it. Yeah, it's focusing on something else that still helps you get over the issue. So things like binge eating or bulimia, it's a little easier to pick on what and when you binge. You know, if you're going to or you have that compulsion to do it, you can't stop it. Binge on a bunch of broccoli and hummus midday as opposed to Twinkies and what was that night?
Right.
You at least work on that one part of self-control will help make it easier to do other parts of self-control as time goes on.
Amen.
That's
Testify.
Right on, brother.
accept it. Be healthy. Be happy.
Be the best version
Be
of yourself.
functionized. What? I
Be a
got it
better
again.
version of yourself every day and live functionized. And get one of these awesome hoodies as a result.
Rock the blues.
Someone didn't think that littering was part of the better yourself.
Littering
so they helped.
ends.
Littering
Littering
ends.
ends.
Littering
Littering
ends.
ends.
No.
Meow, sir.
We're done.
Yeah, we should be done and be outie. So, as always, share this with your friends and family. Make sure you like it, then you get more of our stuff. And add your questions, comments, and into the box beneath. I'm going to also put underneath the podcast that we had with Red Bank Red, which was on body dysmorphia. It was an amazing, very powerful podcast of personal triumph, tribulations, and becoming a better version of herself. Also, I'll put underneath there the keto size me. Oh, you're welcome.
Who's reading? Because I'm not
Anita.
wearing glasses. Oh, yeah.
Ah!
I can't read you.
And on Tuesday night, live, right here, is going to be Healthy Happy Hour again. And Sean,
I'm back.
thank goodness, it's going to make us something.
I'll bring some goodies, but devastatingly, I can't eat anything with almonds anymore. Go figure. Oh, here we go again.
I can, and I'm sure most of our audience can as well.
I'll find something good for everybody.
Stay tuned for that. And we just posted Athena's keto angel food cake recipe on the Healthy Happy Hour group page. So check that out. It was amazing.
It was delicious.
It was really, really, you can make that anytime you want. I'm out.
I'm good.
I'm good. Everybody have an amazing weekend. Thank you for being with us. Dr. Mike?
I'm hungry.
I was going to call you Athena. Beauty brains run. You want to go home?
Yeah, tired.
Your resident mad scientist. I'm out. Great to be with you again. Live
See you
functionized.
next time.
Sayonara.
Dun, dun.